and we will win championships on the field in the fall. And I want to make sure we say that again. We will win championships on the field in the fall. Okay?
Michael?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm going to give Duke some love in basketball. Welcome to week 2 with the ACC. I'm here with Aaron Payne, and I'm Dustin Purcell, and we're ready to talk about ACC.
Yeah, we're excited to have you on. Comment, ask questions as you go, make fun of us, whatever you need to do. But we're excited to talk a little bit about what we think is going to happen in the ACC this season. So we'll kind of start off with just the big team in the ACC in the past. They've won 2 national championships here in the last 6-7 years, and that's Clemson. Last year they had a down year. They went down year, but they went 10-3. So
Yeah.
But I will say they had a ton of close calls, so it's going to be interesting. So Dustin, what do you think about Clemson this year as we kind of get started talking about the ACC?
You know, I went back and forth on this for a while, and originally I had them going like 9-3, but then I'm like, I can't do this. I can't do it that bad, but I have them going 10-2 this year, and I have them losing to Notre Dame. They have to go to Notre Dame and play, and then I've got them losing to NC State. NC State's going to come back again. I know they lost NC State last year. Revenge ain't happening this year. NC State's going to take it again. But I wanted to throw out some key points for Clemson. I think they're going to be better than what they were last year, and here's why. First off, I don't think DJ's the guy at Clemson.
Nah, dude sucks.
He's not. The dude had, like, more interceptions than he had touchdowns last year. 10 interceptions, 9 touchdowns last year. You've got this guy who's coming in, Cade Klubnik. All right, dude, I've watched some highlights on this dude. Have you seen this kid?
Yeah, he's a bad man.
He's a bad man.
But DJ looked like a bad man too coming in.
And the year before that, when Trevor got COVID
Against Notre Dame.
He looked
like
fantastic.
He broke the record for most passing yards in a game.
He did break that record.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's kind of hard to gauge how well Clemson's going to do, but I'm going to throw something out there. 2016, Clemson, all right, they started out with Kelly Bryant. They weren't that great. All right, Trevor Lawrence, number 1 freshman quarterback that year, comes in.
That was 2018, by the way.
Well, he comes in, and he takes over. And then he just dominates. I think we're going to have that happen this year with Clemson. And I think Cade's going to take over, especially if DJ does not do well on the first week with Georgia Tech.
Yeah. So I think Clemson's going to be a good football team. They recruit very good. They do have a lot that's changing though. Brent Venables was a big piece of what was going on at Clemson. Last year, Clemson was very impressive on the defensive side of the ball. They actually had the number 8 defense in the country, total defense, and then the number 2 scoring defense right behind Georgia. So that's what kept them winning games. Honestly, though, they had so many close calls. They almost lost to Georgia Tech. They almost lost to Boston College. They actually did lose to NC State. They got beat up on by Pittsburgh.
Mm-hmm.
They got Georgia was a tight game. They ultimately lost. That probably, honestly, was one of their better games of the year.
When they played Georgia.
Yeah, I mean, they played a tough game against Georgia. And I give Brent Venables so much love because he's one of the best defensive coordinators in the country. He's at Oklahoma now. And then also Tony Elliott leaving.
He's at Virginia now.
Yeah, he went to UVA. So now DJ, allegedly is their guy, is having to learn a new offense. So I'm just kind of interested to see. I'm not low on Clemson. I do have Clemson going 9-3. I think that week 4, I believe it's week 4, they play Wake Forest. Mm-hmm. And Wake Forest has a strong offense. And it's at Wake Forest. I think Wake Forest will get the best of them. And I say that because it's early in the year. I think it's going to take Clemson some time to kind of grow and to be able to get into the team they should be with the talent they have. I also have them losing at Notre Dame. I'm with Dustin. And then I have South Carolina getting the big upset at the end of the year. I don't know why. I just think South Carolina's going to do it. I really don't have any logic. I think there's a lot of energy there. Eventually the streak has to end. And I'm so 9-3, losing only one conference game. That's kind of how I feel about Clemson. So another team that we're pretty high on though in the Atlantic, that last year we got to understand that Wake Forest won the Atlantic, then NC State came in second, then Clemson. So next we can kind of talk a little bit about, I guess, Wake Forest, because I said that they beat Clemson. What do you think about Wake Forest this year?
Dude, so Wake Forest, Sam Hartman's probably, in my opinion, you might disagree with me on this. I think he's the second best quarterback in the ACC, right behind Leary from NC State. So they were 11-3 last year. They've got 20 returning starters. All right, they were 11th in the nation in scoring offense last year. And they only lost like Jakari Robertson last year. So they still got A.T. Perry. He had 1,293 yards and 15 touchdowns. And they still got 4 starters on the offensive line. And their defense isn't half bad. It
was horrible last year.
It's like right in the middle of the pack. They're still giving up 413 yards and 29 points a game, but it's I've seen worse. But I mean, Wake Forest, their offense is going to keep them in games. I got Wake Forest going 9-3. They're just going to lose to Clemson. I've got them losing to Florida State too and NC State.
So Wake Forest, we got to give them some love. Small university that they won their side of the conference last year, went to the ACC championship and got dismantled. Sam Hartman is the best quarterback in the ACC. It's not even close. The offensive production that we saw from him last year was insane. NC State, you talked about their offense, but really their offense wasn't that good last year. They had the number 59 total offense and the number 28 scoring offense, while Wake Forest had the number 11 total offense and the number 4 scoring offense. So Wake Forest was up there, but the reason I think Wake's going to be really good, they return almost all of their starters. It's very unclear on how many they return because everywhere we read, it's
There's
something
a different
different.
thing everywhere.
It's like 16, 20, we'll just say 16 plus. They had 20 that started multiple games last year, but weren't all season starters all season long. So I think that's why it varies. But I like Wake Forest a lot. I think that they go 11-1. I think their only slip-up's going to be at NC State because I think they get that big upset against Clemson. And I think they continue to win. The reason that I don't have them running the table, and I think they're lightning in a bottle, kind of like that LSU offense in 2019, except the ACC version. But their defense last year, man, number 91 total defense and the number 88 scoring defense. That's 10th in the ACC on both fronts. That's just horrible. And I don't see how you can turn around coming from a horrible defense to a team that wins your division and wins the ACC. So I don't have them winning the ACC, but I do have a lot of love for Sam Hartman and what's going on there at Wake Forest.
So NC State, for me, they're the only team in the entire country that are returning 100% of their coaching staff. That's a good key point there. What NC State needs to fix for my prediction to work, and I think they're going to get it to work, I think they're going to have to get the ground game going. That was the problem. I mean, Devin Leary last year, he had 35 touchdowns last year, only 5 picks. And they're returning 8 starters on defense, but the defense has got to improve somewhat for them to actually, go 12-0. And I know that's a huge, bold
So
statement.
you got them going 12-0?
I've got them going 12-0 this year. I think they're that good. I think they're going to have some close games. I think that Clemson game at Clemson, and I believe that game is at the end of the year, that game is going to be fire, and I just think they're going to sneak it out, and they're going to win that game. I'm high on NC State, and I didn't think I would be this year that high on them, but after really looking into things, I'm high on NC State. But I'm also with you on your Wake Forest thing. Wake Forest can honestly come in there and they could win the ACC Atlantic side. There's no question there. There's just really, when you look at the ACC as a whole, you've got 5 teams right now who could win it. You've got Clemson, NC State, Wake Forest, Pittsburgh, and we're throwing out a wild card out there with Miami.
Yeah. So
got to. Mario Cristobal is an awesome coach. I mean, when
he turned Oregon around quick.
He really did, and a lot of people think about, you look at his head coaching record, he only went 62-60, but the man was at FIU. That's one thing. When he was at Alabama, he consistently had number 1 recruiting classes.
Yeah. So Jordan over here is curious. The NC State, we just answered that NC State they have the most production returning in the country. They were good last year.
Mm-hmm.
This year, I think they're going to be even better. I have NC State going 11-1. The only place I have them losing is I think they'll lose to Clemson. That's kind of where we vary, which in my predictions, that puts a three-way tie in that Atlantic division.
Sure.
So I was reading into the tiebreaker. There's all kind of factors that go into it. Pretty much, in this scenario, their division opponents would all be the same because they beat each other. And at the end of the day, though, it comes down to like a analytical ranking, which in this scenario, NC State would have the highest analytical ranking to make it to the ACC championship.
So just to confirm what you're saying, and our listeners here, whoever's ranked highest in that three-way tie wins that tiebreaker.
So it's not the college football playoff rankings. It's kind of like the BCS system.
Okay.
It's more of a computer-based ranking.
Okay.
And I looked into last year's, and Clemson, obviously being 9-3, won't be ranked higher because I have them going 9-3, but I have them losing 2 non-conference games, so they'll be 7-1. And then Wake, just because of the strength of schedule and the brand, I think they'll be a little lower. So I got NC State advancing out of the Atlantic to the ACC championship game. I'm high on them too. Got them going 11-1. Mm-hmm. I'm not 12-0. I'm not quite there, but I think that they're going to be good. And honestly, Leary, I'm surprised by his stats. I didn't realize how good he was last year because their offense to me was ranked pretty low. It's crazy though because they had the number 59 total offense, but then the number 28 scoring offense. So that's quite a variance. That means they put the ball in the end zone.
They put the ball in the end zone. I mean, 35 touchdowns for anyone is a crazy high number. I mean, unless you're talking about Alabama or someone like that.
Yeah.
I mean, still, though. I mean, NC State, they went 9-3 last year. They were a really good team. They upset Clemson. I mean, and the whole thing about the coaching staff, having 100% of the coaching staff return
that's
is
crazy. I didn't
me.
realize that.
So that's what I'm going off of.
And Clemson, remember, Tony Elliott and Brent Venables are gone, so that's a big deal.
I mean, right now, the whole ACC is up for grabs. I would probably say, with the exception of Georgia Tech and Duke and maybe Syracuse.
Georgia Tech sucks.
Georgia Tech. So, let's talk about it.
Let's stay in the Atlantic.
Okay.
We'll get over it because I got a lot to say about Georgia
Okay.
Tech. Pretty much, we don't think anyone else is contenders in the Atlantic. I got Boston College going 6-6, Florida State going 6-6, Louisville going 5-7, and Syracuse going 2-10. Honestly, I think Syracuse could be better. They have a lot of returning starters. They got the best running back in the country. If you haven't seen the man play, please go watch him next year. He is for real.
You love that guy.
But somebody's got to be bottom of the barrel. And I just think all around with last year's stats, they'll be bottom of the barrel. One team, though, that I think we could watch out for is Florida State. Tyler over here, I think he has a little something to say about Florida State. So, Tyler, what you got, man?
No, I think I'm gonna wait. I'm gonna wait for you guys to give your input, and then
Okay.
On Florida State?
I'll give you a little something on Florida State.
So before we get to Florida State real quick, the reason I have Boston College going 6-6 is they had one of the best defenses in the country and they return a lot of starters.
Yeah.
Just to throw that out there, and that's the same reason. Louisville I'm high on. Their schedule just doesn't match up. They got to go to Kentucky at the end of the year. They cross over and play Pittsburgh. So I think they could go 6-6, but I have 5-7. What do you have on Louisville?
Louisville got 75, and right behind them, I've got Florida State at 75. Louisville winning that tiebreaker against Florida State. Louisville, I feel like, is going to be a pretty good team.
And Cunningham.
Dude, sensational quarterback. But he reminds me of Jameis Winston in some sense, because the dude can throw straight fire or straight pitch.
He just is a turnover machine's the problem. Yeah. That's
He
my
fumbles
wife's
a lot,
favorite
too.
player. She loves watching Louisville. She loves Malik Cunningham. Like,
Why
every
does she
time
like
they're on the
Louisville?
computer, she's just because he's a bad man, dude. He's
Okay.
a beast, but somehow they keep losing.
He's the
I hope
Dollar-
they're good, honestly.
I mean, he's the Dollar General version of Lamar Jackson.
Yeah.
I mean, he essentially is, but the dude's still fun to watch.
Louisville could be fire though, so be
They
careful.
can. I'm not saying. Louisville was like one of the teams to win the ACC that I had on the outside looking in. Louisville could sneak in there and do something, but
I hope they do.
they got a tough schedule. So behind them, I got Florida State. Florida State, I think it's really tough to say about Florida State, because Florida State, we're all waiting. College football is better when Florida State's better. We just got to have them get back to where they
Criminals?
were.
They just need to go steal some crab legs together. They might be happy. Let's go on a group trip to get some crab legs from the local Ingles.
I want Florida State to be better, because it made things so much more interesting in the ACC when you had these prestigious teams from the past that were really good. But I've got them going 7-5. I've got them losing to LSU, Louisville, North Carolina State, Clemson, and Miami this year. And then right behind them, I have Boston College. They're going 6-6.
Yeah, I like Boston College. They could do better than that, but
And then
someone's got to lose.
someone's got to be at the bottom. And then Syracuse, you're at the bottom.
Don't be surprised, though, if they pull something out. I'm telling you.
2-10 for me. They're not winning an ACC game this year. But I'm not going to just... I don't know. I'm telling you, when we researched all this and we were making our picks, this was the hardest thing I think I've ever done when it came to football in my life.
Well, I think the top
seriously.
three solid, but the 4, 5, 6, and 7 could go anyway.
Yeah.
Like Wake Forest, NC State, and Clemson are definitely the best on that side.
Absolutely. And there's no question for that whatsoever. But Syracuse, you're at the bottom. All right.
And Jordan, by the way, I'll take that bet on Texas Tech. NC State's going to beat up on Texas Tech. Just want to throw that out there.
Graham
But Tyler-
Harrell's not there.
Yeah. Tyler, let's hear what you have to say about Florida State, man.
Looking at this schedule, okay, it depends on who you're high on. Like, granted, you can sit there and say how you want to that you want NC State and Clemson and Wake Forest to run away with these things, but I don't know, man. I'm shocked that a lot more people aren't pushing Florida State a little bit more. The front half of the schedule is insanely weak. I say front half.
LSU?
Those first 4 games I think are pretty weak. I think the LSU game is gonna surprise some people. And
I think they might beat LSU. I'm with you on that.
I think that gives them momentum. I mean, you run into a buzzsaw from October 1st to the 15th with Wake Forest, NC State, and Clemson. But let's say you come out of those games, 2 out of 3, right? Just some miracle you pull off those, because 2 of those games you're playing at home, so I think you have a chance to set what Florida State used to be.
I was torn on that Wake Forest game. I'm with you. That's upset potential, especially if Wake beats Clemson.
So, if you just hear me out, if you survive this 3-game stretch here, you have essentially what I feel could be cakewalks all the way until you get to a Florida game, and you're going to play a Florida team that's probably already going to be beat down and just defeated at that point. So
and it's Florida.
So I feel like Florida State has a better chance just based on the way that their schedule is set up. You have a few games to get in a rhythm. Now you blow these games, you're going to set yourself in a bad position going forwards. But I feel like if you can survive like 2 out of 3 of these, you're going to give yourself a nice little run at Clemson for the title. I think that's going to be it's going to be a better year for Florida State. I'm not saying they're back. I'm just saying that they have more potential than people are giving credit for. I think they set their over under at like 6.5 games, and I feel like they could easily succeed that. So I'm not saying I'm high on them. I'm saying just pay attention to them throughout the season.
I mean, it's kind of brutal, though. Wake Forest at home, I agree. If Wake does beat Clemson like I predicted, it could be a hangover and Florida State get them. But at NC State, then Clemson will be up for that game. Then Georgia Tech sucks. Then at Miami's another team that's going to be pretty good this year with Tyler Van Dyke. So I think it could happen, but I don't know that I necessarily see them pushing to be the top of the Atlantic.
So Tyler, you have Florida State in that 8-4, 9-3 range.
I might push them at potential 10-2 at best. At best 10-2.
I hope for the sake of this that you are right, because that would make things so much interesting.
I don't think a 1-11.
Look, looking at the ACC, I thought initially, like before doing any research, I was like, dude, the ACC is going to be boring this year. It's just going to be Clemson's year to tear through the ACC. I don't think that's the case. I think you have a lot of teams that have potential, like Wake Forest, NC State, Clemson. Miami and Florida State are I'd say rebuilding, but they're in the process of setting things in place to be in the conversation. But you've got 5 teams there that have potential to compete.
Yeah,
but where you can't say that for some of the other conferences right now. Like you have 2 or 3 teams that you're like, okay, this is it. This is all we got. But the ACC, I mean, you can look at that as like, okay, they're so weak that they have more people, but I don't think that's the case. I think you have a chance to really see some interesting games to the ACC this year, which
I agree.
we did not have last year.
No, absolutely
Well,
not.
and before we flip over to the Coastal, I want to say we think Clemson's going to be good. There's so many unknowns, though. How are they without Brent Venables? How are they without Tony Elliott? How is DJ going to start? So we don't want it to act like we're saying, oh, Clemson. Clemson could very well run the table and make the college football playoff. They have the talent to do it. It's just after last season, they were awful. 10-3 doesn't even show how bad they were. They could have went 5-7 easily. But let's flip over to the Coastal, man. I feel like the Coastal's got some good action.
Real quick before you go, I'd say if I have to put money or bets on anything, like Clemson is clearly the safe bet, like any day of the week. But it's like I said, it's more exciting looking at the ACC as a whole and going, okay, we actually have fun this year, potential fun. But yeah, I'm with you. Like we don't know what to expect out of Clemson, but Clemson's going to be the safe bet for me.
So kind of the Coastal is going to be interesting. It's always interesting. Pitt won it last year. There's some interesting teams, though. I think Miami's kind of surging. Everyone's talking about Miami. But let's start off on Pittsburgh, the reigning ACC champions. They lost Kenny Pickett, but they are replacing him.
They got Slovis
And
from
Nick
USC.
Patty, the backup, which is a good quarterback. I kind of think Nick Patty's going to win the starting job, but regardless, they'll be set at quarterback.
I think Slovis was going to start. Slovis threw 30 touchdown passes last year as a freshman. So,
he's a bad man.
he's
I
a
like
bad
him.
man. So, the other thing about Pittsburgh, all 5 starting offensive linemen return. That is huge in college football. So, you getting Keenan Slovis coming in, and you got all 5 starting offensive linemen coming, that's going to be pretty good. They're going to be good. I've got Pittsburgh going 11-1. The one loss I have is to Tennessee this year. I don't have Pittsburgh winning the ACC. I have them losing to NC State. And, it's a mess right now.
So you got NC State 13-0 going to the college football playoff is what you're saying.
It looks that way. I don't know.
I can see it. I'm not against it. I'm just wondering.
Let's look at the rest of what happens with the college football landscape. We haven't hit the Pac-12 or the Big 12 yet. I don't think anyone from the Big 12 is going to go.
But if they go undefeated, they're
If they
making the
go
college football
undefeated-
playoff 100%. There's no doubt.
I think that we might have a situation this year where we might have 5 teams undefeated.
No way.
You don't think
It
so?
never happens.
I think it could happen.
If they go undefeated, they're making the college football playoff. I'd wager anything. But yeah, I'm Pitt. So let's kind of talk. We'll talk about the ACC championship game here in a second.
Sure.
So Pittsburgh, you're saying 11-1, right?
Right. I'm saying 11-1.
With a loss to Tennessee, and I got Pitt going 11-1 too. I think Pitt is going to be a really good team, but I have them slipping up in that final game of the season at Miami. I think they're going to be 11-0, ranked probably number 2 in the country behind Alabama. And I think they're going to slip up going into the ACC title where they'll play NC State is who I have them playing. So that's why we'll discuss that in a minute because we might have some variances there. But the reason I'm so high on them, and a lot of people are like, why do you love Pitt? They won 11-3 last year. Mm-hmm. And honestly, their bowl game, they had a third-string quarterback in there, and they should have won it. They should have been 12-2 a year ago. They blew a game to Western Michigan. They should have never lost. And then that loss to Miami. So realistically, a few plays different, they don't lose a single game.
And there's fluke games like that. I know, like you say, Pitt lost to Western Michigan. Well, Florida lost to Georgia Southern. Auburn last year, who did they almost lose to?
Georgia State, I think.
Was it Georgia State? Yeah, it's
sucks.
going to happen. That's not necessarily saying they're a bad team. That just shows sometimes poor coaching. Maybe, maybe just people aren't getting amped up for that game because, I guess it'd be hard for me if I played somewhere and going to play Georgia State.
But Pitt has 8 offensive players coming back from a dynamic offense. I want y'all to understand, Pitt last year, their total, they were the number 8 offense in the country in total offense and then the number 3 offense in scoring offense. So, which was number 2 in the ACC. Virginia actually had a better total offense, which is crazy. But then Pitt had the best scoring offense in the country. And they're returning 8 of those starters. I understand that
Jordan Addison is not there.
Yeah, but they're going to be strong. And then defensively, they returned 7. And their defense wasn't terrible last year. They had the number 39 total defense and the number 42 scoring defense. And Pitt is the only one across the board last year in the ACC that finished in the top 5. They had the number 2 total
Really?
offense, the number 1 scoring offense, the number 5 total defense, and the number 4 scoring defense. And 15 of those players are coming back. So we're talking about a team that is returning almost everybody when they pretty much dominated the ACC last year. When you look at the numbers, because people could talk about Clemson, but Clemson had the number 100 offense last year. That was number 13 in the ACC. Clemson had the number 9 scoring offense, but then they were top in the defense. NC State, the number 8 total offense, the number 7 scoring offense, then their defense, total defense was number 3, scoring defense number 2. But I say that to say Pitt was consistent across the board. Some of these teams were strong in one area and then weak in others, as the Pitt was strong everywhere. And that's why I got them going 11-1. I do think they lose to Miami. I'm excited about them, though. I honestly am. I think that Pat Narduzzi's building something at Pittsburgh.
Yeah, they're going to be good next year. There's no question about it. When I first looked at the ACC, I was like, okay, they're losing Kenny Pickett. And then I started looking into it. I'm like, okay, Slovis is a pretty good quarterback. I think that's almost, I'm going to get hate for this. I almost think Slovis is a lateral move to Pickett.
I don't know about lateral, but I think it's going to be close.
It's close enough to
but
call it
I think
lateral.
the Pitt defense is going to be better.
Yeah,
That's my
exactly.
thing. Like this number 42 defense, they had the number 39 total defense. I think that climbs up to the top 20. And then I think their offense comes back from like the number 8 offense, number 3 scoring offense to probably like 15, 20. So if they're in the top 20 in both, you're a competitive team.
Yes.
If you're in the top 20 in the country in total offense, total defense, and scoring defense, because that's what matters. How many
Right.
points you give up. How productive are you? So that's why I'm high on them.
Yeah, I'm high on Pittsburgh too. No question. And I think
So you got second, though.
I've got Miami. What do you have? I want to know what you got.
I went back and forth on it, but I also am rolling with Miami.
Okay.
I think
What's the record?
I got them going 9-3.
9-3?
I think that they're going to lose at A&M. I think they're going to lose at Virginia Tech and then lose at Clemson. Then they get that upset against Pitt. Tyler Van Dyke is the real deal. I don't know where I was saying Dake, but Tyler Van Dyke is the real deal. I just yelled Dyke on the air. That was a complete. Tyler Van Dyke is the real deal, though. They're going to be good, and just I want to hear your thoughts on them, but let me give my thoughts. Last year they had the number 5 total offense in the ACC in scoring and total offense, then the number 7 total defense and the number 9 scoring. So I think they improve in every area, which puts them kind of in the top 5 range in every area.
Yeah.
So I think they're going to be strong. They're not quite there.
So with me and Miami, let's hit on Mario Cristobal for a while.
I like them.
All right.
Hold on.
All right, go ahead.
Hold on 1 second. Before you guys get to Miami, real quick. And this will flow into your Miami conversation. If you look at the full scope of the Coastal, right? Outside of Miami and Pitt, what chances do any of those teams have? Okay, like
Virginia, North Carolina, Virginia Tech, and Georgia Tech?
yes,
None.
Right. All right. So let's looking at Pittsburgh's schedule. How big is that last game?
At Miami?
Yes.
I think it's massive.
I mean, you both. I mean, both of these teams essentially don't. I mean, I wouldn't call this a gauntlet, but I mean, that's going to decide the Coastal. I mean, easily.
Well, I think the problem is I think Miami's going to have more conference losses already because they have to play at Clemson.
Sure.
And then they have to play at Virginia Tech. They have to play FSU. It's just a tougher schedule for them.
Yeah. No. I mean, I get it,
Yeah.
but I say outside of Miami, I don't see anybody
I think
else.
Virginia
on the
Tech
Coastal.
could surprise
I
us.
mean, maybe. I mean,
Or
I'm,
UNC.
I'm about halfway in between the two of them, but I would choose if I had to choose two of those. I'd say I'm saying Pitt and Miami, but since you guys are about to cover Miami,
One of
I'll let
those
you guys
4
go for it.
teams down there at the bottom of the Coastal is going to upset somebody. I just don't know who, and I'm not making that call. I don't know who it's going to be. When I look at Miami though, that's a huge game too. I didn't realize how much of a cakewalk they've got throughout the entire schedule until that last game. I mean, they
Tennessee
might
will be tough, but
the
other than
Tennessee
that-
game, yeah. I mean, they start off with a good game and then they end with a good game.
Yep.
So I'm gonna,
UVU's tricky though because of that big rivalry.
that's true too. So, talk about Miami. I'm going to talk about Mario Cristobal real quick. So, I think I mentioned this earlier. So Mario Cristobal's resume as a head coach, He went 62-60, and you're like, that's not that impressive. The dude was at FIU. All right, so he's like a 50-50, throughout there. So after FIU, he goes to Nick Saban's staff, and he's the recruiting coordinator. So every year he was a recruiting coordinator there. Guess what? They finished in rankings in recruiting.
Probably number one.
Number one, 4 seasons in a row. Okay, for Miami's keys to success here, their offensive line's got to get better. They struggled real bad on the offensive line. Their running game is going to get better. They got Harry Parrish from Ole Miss, so that's going to be a much better run situation for them.
Harry Parrish.
What
a name.
Yeah.
It sounds like a city in Louisiana. They call everything a parish. Anyway, sorry, go on.
All right, and then for defense, they got Caleb Johnson. Have you heard of Caleb Johnson?
Where's he from?
He's from UCLA.
I've heard the name, but I don't know
dude's a
anything about
baller.
him.
He got like 89 tackles last year. So, I mean, they've got some key pieces there to be successful. I think Miami's going to – I've got them losing to Pitt, Clemson, and A&M this year.
And they went 7-5 last year.
Yeah,
so
and so 8-3, I mean, it
9-3.
9-3, sorry. 9-3, I mean, that's – when you're getting up there at the top, 9-3 is a big jump.
And they'll probably win a bowl game.
And they will win a bowl game, I think. I mean, depending on who they match up against. So I like Miami. I think they're going to improve. I don't think they got a shot to win the ACC per se this year.
No, they won't.
But they are in that top 5 conversation of the best teams for me in the ACC.
And the reason I have them beating Pitt is because Cristobal's a big game coach. Y'all remember, Oregon wasn't that good. They went to Ohio State and knocked them off. He has a history of winning big, huge matchups. So I'm excited about that. Who do you have third? Because I'm kind of torn on who I have to. I actually have North Carolina finishing third in the division. Mac Brown. That's it. I think he's a good coach. I mean, the dude looked senile last year. They sucked.
All right. I've got Virginia third, but let's talk about North Carolina first. So Matt Brown just did not look himself last year. Last year they
like
got
100.
They were plagued by penalties last year. I need Tyler? Can you pull up the stat for penalties for North Carolina if you can find that?
Yeah.
I mean, and they got so many sacks last year. I mean, Sam Howell got wasted. Absolutely wasted last year. They should have been so much better than they were. They were 6-7 last year. So we're looking at UNC and we're like, well, who's going to be the quarterback? Jacoby Crisell? I mean, who do you got at the starting quarterback? Or is it going to be Drake May?
For North Carolina?
Yeah.
I don't know. I think either of them are going to be good
quarterbacks.
quarterbacks. I don't really have a strong opinion on North Carolina. Mac Brown typically doesn't have 2 bad seasons in a row.
The only thing I think UNC is going to improve on this year is they got Gene Chizik as the defensive coordinator now.
He's been there, hasn't he?
Yeah. He's there for defense still.
Yeah, I mean he's been there
So I think they're going to be better. They've got a good stable of running backs. I mean, it's just they're at the bottom. I mean, those 4 teams are just going to beat up on each other.
I got them going 8-4 though. I think they're going to have a decent year.
I have them going 5-7. I got Virginia going 8-4.
So where I have North Carolina losing is at Miami, then to Pitt, at Wake Forest, and there's one more. For some reason I got their schedule pulled up wrong here, but yeah, I got them going 8-4. So I just don't. I think they'll upset Notre Dame. It's at home. I just think it's a big game that they'll show up for, and then outside of that though, their schedule's just weak. Mm-hmm. They could lose to App State. I mean, they got to go to App State. They got to go to Georgia State.
That's what's interesting.
It's
Why would you go to App State?
Dude, you know you're not a freaking football school when you're going to App State and Georgia State to play a game. That's crazy to me.
Come on, Tar Heels.
But yeah, I just think that their schedule is weak, so that's why I got them going 8-4. They'll lose to NC State for sure. They'll lose to Wake and Miami and Pitt for sure. Other than that, I think UVA, Virginia Tech, those are toss-up games. I'm going to give them the benefit of the doubt here and say they're going to go 8-4. Who else are you high on? Because I think I had North Carolina and Virginia Tech kind of in that 3rd and 4th spot, but it looks like you had Virginia.
I've got Virginia in that 3rd spot. I've got them losing to Louisville, Miami, Pitt, and Georgia Tech. I just don't really. I mean, they got a good quarterback. What's his Brendan Armstrong?
Yeah. He's returning. He's good.
But Tony Elliott's coming in from Clemson, so maybe they'll improve on offense. But I don't know because we look at Clemson's offense last year and we're like, what the crap was this? It didn't make any sense. And I still think that's DJ. That's just my opinion.
I mean, but when you don't have any time to throw the ball,
So
I mean,
while I'm higher on Virginia versus North Carolina, Virginia Tech, and Georgia Tech, they're returning their quarterback. They got all the top wideouts from last year. They've got the most offensive experience. Brendan Armstrong, he's just going to have to use his legs more to win games. I think he's a great passer, but he's also a good runner, but he just seemed a little scared last year. Let's see him run. The big problem with Virginia is their defense is going to be atrocious.
it was atrocious last year.
It's going to even be worse this year. I don't see them being any better.
Last year, Virginia had the number 3 total offense in the country, then the number 21 scoring offense. So they were driving down the field, they weren't scoring, they were turning the ball over.
Yeah.
But then defensively, they had the number 121 total defense and the number 104 scoring defense. And they hired an offensive coach. You need a defensive coach. Like, how dumb can you be? Like, I don't get it. But I got them going 7-5. I think they're going to be pretty good. But that's the weakness of the coach.
Virginia should have got the head coach at Duke now because he's a defensive guy. He was a Texas A&M defensive coordinator.
Aren't they going to win championships in the fall? That's what I heard. That Duke is on their way with their number 130 total defense last year, the worst in the country. They're going to win it all, though, boys.
So you asked about NC or North Carolina. It looks like they averaged around 60 to 70 yards on offense and defense a game and penalties.
That's horrible.
Yeah, so like seven penalties on offense a game and 6 on defense a game was the average.
Mac Brown, what are you doing? Get your team
That's
under
nuts,
control.
man.
The
Plus
dude
14.
needs to be in a nursing home, not on the sideline.
Plus 14 in the differential. Yeah.
He's what? One of the how many national championship coaches are there right now? One out of
I think there's 4.
five?
I think Dabo, Saban,
Jimbo.
and Mac Brown are the only 4.
You didn't even say Kirby.
And Kirby. Kirby's the 5th one, yeah. Yeah, so
How could you not say
there's
Kirby?
5 of them. Because I was thinking, that stat's been thrown around a lot before Kirby won one.
Yeah.
So I was just thinking about the old stat. But, yeah, so I got Virginia going 7-5. I think they're going to be all right. But their defense is going to suck. So I think they'll lose to Virginia Tech. And that's why Virginia Tech going over them. Because Virginia Tech's going to be good. Like, I think they hired the wrong guy in Justin Fuente. And I think they'll turn it around this year. I think they got the right guy in place. And honestly, last year, their defense was horrible. I mean, sorry, their offense was horrible, but their defense actually was pretty good. Their offense can only get better. They're kind of in Clemson's position.
Their defense is going to get better at Virginia Tech. I mean, Brent Pry, he was a defensive coordinator at Penn State, so he's a defensive mind guy. We're going to see better defense.
He's got 12 returning starters, too.
Yeah. They were 12th in the ACC on offense last year.
Yeah, that's what I meant. I meant defensively they were decent. Offensively, they were 12th on total and 13th on scoring, which is horrible. I remember watching them, though. They sucked. Like, that's all there is to it. I don't know how to say it. What did they go last year? They ended up, what was
They were
the
6-7 last year. In addition to that, they don't have a quarterback right now. You either got Grant Wells from Marshall.
He was pretty good, though. I will say that.
I don't know anything
like
about him. So, okay, if you got something to add to that, I'd like to hear it. I mean,
I didn't really study that much up on Virginia Tech. Let's pull up his numbers here. Let's see what he...
well, while he looks that up, I also got Jason Brown from South Carolina. I don't know.
Jason Brown played a little bit last year, but he's not. I think Grant Wells will win the starting job.
Yeah, I got Virginia Tech. I got them going 6-6. I got them losing to Georgia Tech, North Carolina, Pittsburgh, Miami, NC State, and Virginia this year.
Wells last year threw for 3,500 yards, 16 touchdowns, and 13 interceptions. So if he can, that's at Marshall. If he can fix that interception problem, he could be good. But that's who was it? Jordan Love at Utah State got drafted in the first round, and he threw like 18 touchdowns and 16 interceptions, and got so. There could be something special there. I like the way he plays, though. It's kind of why I'm high on him. But yeah, I got them 8-4. Them losing to who do I got them losing to? I got them losing to UNC, at Pitt, at NC State, and UVA. I think the Who's do beat them last game of the year.
Sure.
Georgia Tech, they're going to be horrible. They only return 5 players. They 2-10.
So the crazy thing about Georgia Tech, they ended the year last year the worst way possible. Guess what their total combined score was last year for the last two
It
teams?
was
They
like
played
100-0.
It was 100-0. They played Notre Dame, and they lost to them 55-0, and then they went and played Georgia and lost to them 45-0. I'm like, you can't make the year any more worse to end. So they were 3-9 last year, and they were dead last in the country in pass efficiency defense. Dead last. I don't know what else more to say. I'm not high on them, and going into this year,
You are high on them. You got them going 4-8.
4-8.
Where do you get 4 wins? They're straight garbage. The team they're lucky to win 2 games. Let me pull up their schedule. 4-8.
I've got them losing or winning at least one game, and I've just got them winning to North Carolina this year and Virginia Tech. I just think
Virginia Tech. Oh my God.
I just think they're going to win some
Don't
games
be lucky
somewhere.
to beat Western Carolina, dude. They suck. I do have them beating Western Carolina and Duke. That's it. 2-10. They only returned 5 starters from a team that was horrible. Horrible.
Let's take a quick look at Clemson's schedule, shall we?
Georgia Tech's, you mean, or?
Yeah, sorry, Georgia
Oh.
Tech's. Yes, Georgia Tech's. That's who we're talking about, correct?
Yeah. You're right.
Fourth
Make
toughest
sure.
strength of schedule this year.
Yes.
And you got them winning 4 games.
So you have Clemson.
They got to win 4 games.
You have a Clemson. We know that's a loss.
L by 50.
Clemson could be playing with like all broken limbs and still win that game. Western Carolina. You're probably gonna lose that game too.
I mean, it's a toss-up,
Ole
dude.
Miss, you're definitely losing that game. The reigning 2019 national champions, UCF Knights. They've got that game. Pitt, that's a loss. Duke, that's a loss. Virginia, that's a loss. Florida State, that's a loss.
You think they're
Tech,
going to beat
that's a
UCF?
loss. I think they're gonna lose to everyone. I don't think. No, they're
They
not.
don't win a game.
I don't think they're gonna win a single game. this year.
0-12. I love it.
They're going 0-12.
He said they're going to lose to Duke too.
Listen,
They could. I'm with them. I
Listen.
put them beating Duke, but I don't see it. They suck, man.
They lost their best running back. Alabama.
Can I dive into this? Last year, the number 92 total offense, the number 95 scoring offense. Horrible. There's only 130 teams.
I don't see it, man. I don't see it. There's no possible way that you can convince me that they can win more than one miracle game in the season.
Western Carolina, I
Western
think they'll
Carolina
beat,
is
but
the only game I think they can win.
in 4 overtimes, they're going to pull that one out.
I'm baffled by this, y'all. I mean, I
Dude,
think
they had the number 117 total defense and the number 110 scoring defense.
they've
dude.
got to win some.
And that
games.
They
is
only have
not-
5 returning starters.
And that is not because I don't like Georgia Tech. That's because ever since they made the change from the triple high school option, they have had nothing going for them.
Geoff Collins sucks as a coach is the problem. I thought he was
He's
the
gone
guy.
after this year. He's gone after this year.
Yeah, I thought he was going to be a good coach too. I was actually high on him, but dude, I mean, they're just getting worse. That's the problem.
Does Calvin Johnson have any eligibility left?
I mean, they need to call him if he does.
So they need some help.
The thing is with Geoff
Reggie
Collins,
Ball.
the dude, they went 3-9, 3-7, 3-9, and you got them winning 4 games.
I got to win 4 games.
This is their
year.
worst team. Paul Johnson's players are gone now, so they have no talent, no speed,
OPJ.
nothing.
I just see them pulling out some wins somewhere with their crazy tough schedule. I think they got to win 2 ACC
Dude,
games.
I just think they're gonna get just. They're gonna like.
Put them in the Sun Belt, they go 3-9.
I just don't see it. I don't see them winning, but maybe 1 game,
So
and that's generous.
we talked a lot about
Can
a
you go
team that
negative?
doesn't deserve to be talked about because they suck.
We can move on.
Dude.
So let's kind of go. I have Duke going 2-10, but they are going to be national champions according to their coach. So I'm a little confused, but maybe they'll prove me wrong. What do you have them going?
I got them 2-10.
2-10 as well. So let's just move on from that. So we both agree NC State and Pitt are going to play for the ACC championship game.
Yep.
You have NC State winning the ACC championship, and I haven't said this yet, but I have Pittsburgh winning the ACC championship game. You've given a lot on NC State, and I don't really have anything to argue about. I think they're good. 17 returning starters. I think they have the most production returning of any Power 5 team in the country.
I mean, and looking last year too, 2 of the 3 losses, they could have won those games because they were on the road, and they lost both of those games by a total of 4 points, both games combined. I mean, that when you look at that, you're just thinking like NC State's a good team, and it's not unrealistic for them to go 12-0. I still know it's a bold prediction here because it's NC State, because they're not.
But take away the name. If Clemson was returning what NC State is returning,
If Clemson,
everybody would be saying 12-0 winning
You're
the
right.
SEC in a heartbeat. So
Yeah.
I'm with you. I think Pitt will get them. Experience is what I think is going to get them. Pitt's going to come off that loss to Miami ticked off. Narduzzi will. He somehow just has a magical offensive mind.
Mm-hmm.
And I think they'll go out there in awe NC State's defense, and they'll end up pulling it out. And I just think, I don't know that NC State's going to have enough offensive production. I think they'll be better offensively.
Mm-hmm.
But, man, I think Pitt, like I said, will be top 20 in every category. I think NC State will be right there with them. It'll be a close game. But because of what Pitt did last year, because of what they're returning, I got to take Pitt to win it and go 12-1. That means I got NC State going 11-2.
I have no argument with that either. I mean, Pittsburgh and NC State are clearly the best teams, but I think we have some wild cards in there with
Clemson,
Wake Forest, and Miami, maybe Louisville. Clemson, I mean, what do y'all think about Clemson? Do you think they're on the downhill spiral right now? Do you think they get back to where they are?
I feel like I'm going to get slammed.
Do it.
But
I mean, who cares?
my thing with Clemson is this. It's not just last year. It's not that you went 10-3 and lost 3 games. It's how you played. It was horrible. Then all of a sudden the season ends after a bad season and your longtime defensive coordinator, longtime offensive coordinator, and other staff leave. Dabo hasn't really seen many transitions in his time at Clemson. And I think Dabo Swinney is a great coach, but I'm interested to see how they return. If they go 10-3 this year, I would say that they'll go back on the uppity up. But there is a chance, and there is a chance it could be worse than that. Like, I'm just saying that I don't know after last year, but the recruiting's gotten worse as well. So it makes me question them, but I'm not ready to say they're on the downward spiral.
I mean, so here's a crazy thing here. Like Brent Venables, he started coaching with Clemson in 2012. In 2011, Clemson finished with a 10-win game season. Since Brent Venables has been a head coach from 2012 on, they have always won 10-plus games.
Yeah, the defensive coordinator.
The defensive coordinator. So, I mean, their defense is going to take definitely a step back.
And I think the ACC's just better.
One of Dabo's key to success was retaining Brent Venables for so long. Tony Elliott, I mean, he had some crazy offenses.
Yeah.
I mean, I think what's going to happen is, too, I really feel like DJ is going to get kicked to the second string.
I don't think DJ's going anywhere.
You don't think so?
No, I don't either.
It was very evident in any of the press conferences that Dabo was in during this.
Because what
last
I'm
few
hearing,
weeks.
Clemson fans, the ones I've spoken with, they're done with DJ. They just do not care.
I don't
They
think it
won't
was all
cave.
on DJ, though. That's
It's
my
not
problem.
because their offensive line was atrocious last year too.
Receivers dropped
said
a
that,
lot of passes.
they were missing Justin Ross last year. I
Yeah.
mean, and Justin Ross is coming back this year, and Justin Ross is easily a first-round draft pick for a wide receiver. I mean, no question there. Justin Ross is amazing. So let's see how it does. I think by week 3. I think you got to pick your quarterback and stick with him.
I'm with Tyler. I think DJ stays the quarterback. I think DJ also has a pretty good season.
Yeah, DJ's the guy.
Yeah. I think they'll have a pretty good. I think his numbers will be very improved. Ultimately, I think the ACC is just better. I really think Pitt is building something. I think NC State's building something. And Wake Forest, because of that extra year of eligibility, a team that can't recruit that good, they've got now 5th and 6th. Like their whole offensive front and defensive front, I believe, are all in their 6th season at Wake Forest.
6th?
Yes, because you got that extra year of eligibility because of it might only be their offensive line. So they are stacked up front. That Wake could be scary. Like they could win the conference.
So
like
what game for the ACC schedule stands out to y'all the most?
That Pitt Miami game, but we already kind of talked about that. But other than that, well, I mean, what do you see?
I don't know. To me, that's the same. That's the same thing. I mean, there's a bunch of like with Clemson. Neither of you picked Clemson. Well, let's assume Clemson gets back on track. The biggest game for Clemson, I think, outside of the ACC games, is that Notre Dame game.
Yeah.
If Notre Dame somehow, it's kind of odd with a first-year coach, but if they somehow find an identity early and start to roll by the time they get to Clemson, that could be a defining game for Clemson, outside the ACC.
Against who?
Notre Dame.
Yeah. No, I'm agreeing with you. I think College Game Day could be at the Notre Dame one. I also think Clemson at Wake Forest will get a lot of attention just because of how they were last year.
For sure.
Clemson and NC State.
That's early in the season.
Clemson and
man.
NC State, too, will get a lot of attention.
I want to see Louisville. I'm more intrigued about Louisville than anyone else this year.
I hope they run the table. I like their quarterback. I just think he's a tough dude.
Todd Grantham has been long gone from there. No.
Hear me out on Clemson. All right, so everybody is worried about two things. You're losing your offensive coordinator and you're losing your defensive coordinator. What if I told you, and this is not going to sit well with probably anybody, but what if I told you that it didn't matter? Look at their schedule last year. The offensive coordinator obviously didn't do anything for them.
He was awful.
Clearly didn't help. And they started to roll towards the end of the year on offense. Defensively, I think they're going to be what they are. I think Dabo will figure that out.
They'll take a step back, though, I believe, just because they're losing talent. That would be if Venables was here.
I don't even know if it's a step back. I think the only thing you need to fix in Clemson is your offense. Because you played so bad on offense, you allowed the other team to dictate the game, and it looked like you just couldn't hold people down. When you constantly turned over the ball and gave them possessions. And it looks like your defense didn't do too great, but in reality, it's because your offense was so terrible. So,
defensively, they had the number 2 scoring defense in the country.
Yeah, that's the thing. That's the only thing that kept them in games was their defense.
They've got good players.
If they can figure out how to play offense, if DJ can get out of his own head and get out of the shadow of Trevor Lawrence, I think Clemson will be back to where they are. So I don't think they're on.
Well, and I think Dabo's been blessed with good quarterbacks. Like, you had Taj Boyd. He kind of got it started. Then Deshaun Watson, then Trevor Lawrence. Then Kelly Bryant was kind of in the middle of Deshaun Watson. But that honestly, the year Kelly Bryant started, the team really wasn't that good.
No.
They kind of stumbled around, and then they made the playoffs and got whooped by Bama. So in order for the train to run, Dabo needs a quarterback. So it really is on DJ's shoulders. Jason Satterfield said that on the comments, and I completely agree with you, man. I think that if DJ shows up, Clemson could be deadly. If he doesn't, 9-3. I mean, that's kind of maybe 10-2.
That's the reality. I
think they win at least 9 games.
I think they win 9 on talent alone.
I mean, because there's no question they win at least 9 games. If they lose more than 9 games, I will be very surprised.
So the over/under for Clemson, 10.5.
I think it's 10.5. Yeah. So you have NC State going undefeated, 13-0. So you have them in the college football playoff.
I guess I do. Yeah. I mean, when you look at it,
and I'm not going to reveal on Pitt. I'm not really going to reveal if I have them in the playoff or not yet. I do have them going 12-1 and winning the ACC with that one loss at Miami, which I think Miami will be a top 15 team in that game. Mm-hmm. So we'll talk about that in a few weeks when we talk about our college football playoff picks. But because you have them going undefeated, you kind of have to roll with it.
I have to roll with them. I mean, I've thought a lot about this and going back and forth with NC State and Clemson to take it, and I was just like, I'm taking NC State now. I've got to.
He actually changed right before the show started.
I really did, because I had Clemson only losing 1 game, and that was at Notre Dame, and then I'm conflicted with myself, and I'm like, NC State's just going to be that good this year. I've got to take NC State, and I know I'm going to catch some hate for them going undefeated.
Yeah, I mean, it is what it is, though.
I mean, let's just be honest here. I mean, when people make picks, they're wrong at the beginning of the season. You look at, like, these guys at ESPN. I mean, last year...
Just own it. You're right.
Don't
be negative.
No, I'm owning it. But, like, last year, Herb Street picked Oklahoma to win it all last year. Do you see how that turned out for him?
Well, David Pollack actually nailed it on the money. He said
and Lee Corso. He said
Alabama would beat Georgia in the SEC title, and Georgia would beat Alabama in the national championship.
And I can't remember what... Desmond Howard had Oklahoma winning it all, too, last year. So, I mean... it's just predictions. It's all fun and speculation here. So
you've got Alabama as the number 1 seed. NC State is the number 2 seed in the playoff. Is kind of what I'm seeing here. We'll see in a few weeks, though. We're going to talk about that because next week we're going to cover it. Are we going to do...
We can do Big 12.
Big 12 and Pac 12 is what we're covering next week. Then the following week we'll do Big 10. Then the week of We're going to talk about the games and talk about our final predictions for the college football playoffs. So you'll hear more about it then. So the ACC, I have Pitt winning it. He has NC State. Tyler, you have Clemson winning it, right?
Yeah, I have Clemson winning it, and like I said, it's the easy
Making the
result.
playoff?
No, yes, I have Clemson winning the ACC and making the playoff. Now, like I said, if I wanted to pick something fun, I'm picking Florida State to win, like, just out of the blue, because it's so like
That'll
off
be awesome.
everybody's radar at this point. Like, I think like that's my I call it a sleeper pick, but it's my fun pick for the ACC. Would be Florida State.
So let's go to the questions. Do we have any? I've kind of been trying to reply to some comments on here during the show. But do we have any questions that anybody wants to ask about the ACC or comments they want to throw in? Oh, they're right. So, thank you for your comment on Gene Chizik because he did leave. He did leave and come back. You're right. Shelby O'Brien kind of cleared that up because I was saying I thought he
Appreciate
had
you,
been
Shelby.
there. Yeah. So, thank
You're
you
the
for
only
that.
UNC fan I like, by the way.
And Jason Satterfield says that North Carolina will lose to App State. It's not out of the picture, man. I mean,
I
I got a couple for you. All right. First, who's you guys' pick for if you had to pick two Heisman